In January 1943, a maid found the body of an elderly man. He was 86 years old. He had been dead for several hours. He had no family nearby, almost no money, and no company, but the pigeons he fed from his window every day. The hotel bill was being quietly paid by the Westinghouse Electric Corporation. When the FBI arrived to seize his belongings, they called in an MIT professor to examine his papers for anything that could be used as a weapon. Because even at 86, broke and alone, the United States government was still not entirely sure what Nikola Tesla might have been building. How does someone go from lighting an entire city to dying alone in a hotel room? That story starts with a thunderstorm. On the night of July 10, 1856, a storm broke over the village of Smiljan in the Austrian Empire. Inside the home of a Serbian Orthodox priest named Milutin Tesla, his wife Juka was in labor. At the stroke of midnight, she gave birth to their fourth child. The midwife is said to have called the lightning a bad omen. Juka replied that no, the child would be a child of light. They named him Nikola. Tesla grew up in a remote rural part of what is now Croatia. His mother had no formal education, but she built small household tools by hand. Tesla later said he inherited his inventive instinct from her. His older brother Dane was considered the brilliant one in the family, but Dane died in a riding accident when Nikola was still a boy. Tesla later wrote that no matter what he achieved, he felt it was never enough to fill the space his brother had left behind. As a child, he stroked the family cat one dry winter evening and saw sparks leaping from the fur. He asked his father what caused them. His father told him it was electricity, the same force behind lightning. Tesla would recall that moment for the rest of his life as the beginning of everything. He also had a strange ability. He could visualize machines in complete detail inside his mind, rotating them, assembling them, running them to see where parts would wear down. He never needed to sketch. At 17, he contracted cholera and nearly died. His father, who had wanted him to become a priest, promised that if the boy survived, he could study engineering. Tesla recovered. In 1875, he enrolled at the Polytechnic in Graz, Austria. During a demonstration of a Gramme dynamo, Tesla suggested to his professor that a motor could run without a commutator, using alternating current instead of direct current. The professor dismissed the idea in front of the class, comparing it to perpetual motion. Tesla did not forget this. He lost his scholarship to gambling and dropped out without a degree. After his father's death in 1879, he drifted. Some lectures in Prague, no degree there either. Then something happened. While walking through Budapest's city park in February 1882, with his friend Anthony Szigeti reciting lines from Goethe's Faust, the solution appeared in his mind. The problem his professor had called impossible, solved. Complete, working, fully formed. A rotating magnetic field. A motor with no commutator. He grabbed a stick and drew the diagram in the dirt. He later wrote, "The idea came like a flash of lightning, and in an instant the truth was revealed." Here is why that mattered. At the time, Edison's direct current could only travel a mile or two before it lost most of its energy. That meant you needed a power station on practically every city block. Alternating current solved this. It reverses direction many times per second. It can be stepped up to high voltages using a transformer. And high voltage travels far, with very little loss. You could generate power at Niagara Falls and deliver it to a city 26 miles away. But previous AC systems could power lights, not machines. Tesla's induction motor used the rotating magnetic field, no brushes, no sparks, no parts grinding against each other, to convert alternating current into mechanical motion. It made AC useful for everything, but at that moment it was a drawing in the dirt. Tesla was an unknown 25-year-old, with no degree and no money. He spent 2 years working for the Continental Edison Company in Paris, before boarding a ship for New York in June 1884. He arrived nearly penniless. He went to work for Thomas Edison. The two men could not have been more different. Edison tested thousands of materials by trial and error. Tesla worked from theory and mental visualization. Tesla claimed he was promised a large bonus for improving Edison's generators. When he delivered, Edison reportedly laughed it off, telling him he didn't understand American humor. The exact details are disputed by historians. What isn't disputed is that Tesla walked out. And for a time, the man who had solved the alternating current motor in his head was digging ditches in New York for $2 a day. In 1888, Tesla delivered a lecture to the American Institute of Electrical Engineers on his polyphase AC system. George Westinghouse licensed Tesla's patents for around $60,000, roughly $2 million today, plus a royalty of $2.50 per horsepower of AC electricity produced. That royalty clause alone could have made Tesla one of the richest men in America. What followed was the War of Currents. Edison's side ran a propaganda campaign against AC, staging public electrocutions of animals, and backing the development of the electric chair using alternating current. A deliberate attempt to brand AC as the current of death. The decisive moment came in 1893. Westinghouse won the contract to light the world's Columbian Exposition in Chicago. On opening night, roughly 100,000 incandescent lamps lit the fairgrounds. Tesla himself passed alternating current through his own body to light lamps in his hands. Millions of visitors saw the future, and it ran on Tesla's system. 2 years later, AC power from Niagara Falls was transmitted 26 miles to Buffalo. It worked. The war was over. But then, and this is the decision that explains everything that came after, Westinghouse faced financial trouble in the late 1890s. He told Tesla the royalty payments could bankrupt the company. Tesla tore up the contract. He gave away what would have been worth hundreds of millions in today's terms. His exact reasons remain unclear. But Westinghouse had been the one man willing to bet everything on Tesla's vision, when no one else would. Tesla never married. He told interviewers that celibacy was a sacrifice he had made for his work, that romantic attachment would have dulled his focus. Later in life, he admitted the sacrifice may have been too great. Either way, without the Westinghouse fortune and without a family, there was nothing to anchor him when his ambitions outran his resources. In 1899, he moved to Colorado Springs. He produced artificial lightning bolts over 100 feet long, the largest man-made electrical discharges the world had ever seen. He also blew out the local power company's generator. His goal was wireless energy transmission, sending power through the earth itself. That idea led him to his greatest failure. In 1901, he convinced J.P. Morgan to invest $150,000 in a wireless transmission tower at Wardenclyffe on Long Island. The architect was Stanford White. The tower rose 187 feet, capped with a 55-ton copper dome. But Tesla's real plan was not just wireless communication, it was broadcasting free energy to the entire planet. When Morgan found out, the money stopped. Marconi had beaten Tesla to transatlantic radio in December 1901. Tesla wrote desperate letters. Morgan never funded him again. The tower stood empty for years. In 1917 it was demolished to pay off debts. After Wardenclyffe, Tesla's life narrowed. He moved between New York hotels, often leaving unpaid bills. He continued to announce inventions, some prescient, like early concepts for radar and remote control. Others, like a supposed death ray, were never demonstrated. He grew increasingly isolated. No wife, no children, no close friends left. In his final years, he spent his days feeding pigeons in Bryant Park, alone, in the same city he had once lit up. Tesla held over 300 patents across 26 countries. The electrical system that powers virtually every building you have ever walked into runs on principles he conceived while reciting Goethe in a park in Budapest. He was 25, with no degree and no money. He did not die rich. He did not die famous, not in the way Edison did. But the rotating magnetic field doesn't care who remembers its inventor. It just works, every second of every day, all over the world. In his later years, Tesla wrote that the present belonged to others, but the future, he insisted, was his. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe for more.